We can find the words to Shalom Aleichem on page 24. We welcome in the ministering angels of Shabbat. We welcome them in peace. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon Mimelech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon Mimelech, Malachei Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon Mimelech, Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All right, let's get it going. Thank you. Boachem l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei Elyon mimelech, malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei Elyon mimelech, malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei Elyon mimelech, malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichem l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei Elyon mimelech, malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichem l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei Elyon mimelech, malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeichem l'shalom, malachei shalom, malachei Elyon mimelech, malachei amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome. It is so great to see our sanctuary filled with all of you, bringing your spirit and your sense of reflection and joy and gratitude and all of the other emotions that you come with tonight here to Shabbat. And I'm especially looking at those of you on Zoom tonight because I forgot my glasses. So everyone here in the sanctuary is just a nice blurry community, but I can actually see those of you here at home too. So thank you for joining us as well. You know, we all come to Shabbat for different reasons. We come this week, again, with that real sense of gratitude. We're entering our season of giving thanks, our Shabbat right before Thanksgiving. So I hope tonight gives everyone a chance to reflect on some of that. We're also here with some righteous anger of the news of the week. We're also here to mourn and to grieve and to remember. And I know that so many of you here are marking that loss. And as we enter that season of celebration and gratitude and light, we're also thinking of those experiences of darkness that we've held. And finally, we celebrate. We celebrate that Shabbat is here. We celebrate that every week we have another student, another young person who is taking their place amongst the Jewish people. And this week, there's a lot of celebration, but there's also some sadness because, Jeremy, you are the last straws. Before the great-grandchildren come to celebrate your bar mitzvah in our community. But again, I love the family that you've brought with you and everyone who's here, again, cheering you on. So why don't we start by inviting your family to add that light to whatever darkness we're holding from this past week as we light Shabbat candles. We're going to invite Tina, Mary, and Michelle Shi, Emily Senna, Cindy, and Yoshie Strauss.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our life, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
All right, Jeremy, we'll see you at the end of services. First, we have to welcome again, Shabbat's spirit into our presence, into this space here, into your spaces at home. We do that with the words of Lecha Dodi on page 20.
Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela 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 Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Hishmianu el hamichad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'litzchila lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha Ki hi mekor habracha Merosh mikedem nesucha Suv ma'aseh b'mashavat chila lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nekabela התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבורני עלייך מגללך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת
We rise to welcome Shabbat.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
So as the Baruch Hu invites us to become one intentional minyan, one intentional community of worshipers, I invite you to turn to someone who you haven't come with tonight, maybe someone who you don't recognize, and just wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Ask them what brought them here tonight to PTBE. And if you're with us on Zoom, again, give us a little, tell us where you're zooming in from. Wish us in the sanctuary a Shabbat Shalom so that we can see you too. Hi, Foster City, hi, Rhode Island, and Redwood Shores. Shabbat Shalom from San Carlos. From Belmont, near and far, all coasts, Washington, D.C., wow. Well, no matter where we're here from, no matter what brought us here into this space or into Shabbat, we're here now, we're together, we're one, and so we invite each other to prayer with Baruch Hu, page 28.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai la lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai la lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Page 29. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarach, let us bless that oneness with the words of Shema, page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We continue on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantaham levanecha, v'dibarta baham, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvletecha havaderech, uvshofbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, Uktavtam al mezuzot betecha uvisha'arecha lema'ahan tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. Well, we turn to page 40 for the Michamocha, this prayer that acknowledges the biggest miracle of all, this miracle of God parting the Red Sea, this miracle of the Israelites being able to cross from slavery to freedom. And when we pray the Michamocha, it's often hard to connect to a miracle of that stature, that miracle of that size, because it feels so inaccessible to our lives today. And yet our challenge, again, especially as we are coming up on Thanksgiving, is to not hope for those kinds of miracles, but just to acknowledge the small ones, the everyday ones, the miracles we get from just being together in a room, being able to take a breath and sing out in praise. So we sing Michamocha, page 40.
Yai lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nohura tehilo say Malchutecha ra'u vanecha bokei ayam lifne Moshe u'Miriam Ze'ekili anu ve'amiru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Ya lai 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 lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai lai, Yai lai dai dai dai.
I love that melody for Mi Chamocha because, again, I think it speaks to the slow, small miracles that we hold. The Hashkivenu acknowledges the miracle that it is just to fall asleep and just to wake up the next day. It acknowledges the sun setting and then rising, the courage that it takes to be able to wake up each day to face whatever comes. So we sing that prayer for peace and comfort. The Hashkivenu is on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Havidenu Malakeinu L'Chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Havidenu Malakeinu L'Chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Havidenu Malakeinu L'Chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom Havidenu Malakeinu L'Chaim. L'Chaim.
Well, our Siddur takes us on a journey through of themes and emotions until we hit this climax prayer, the Amidah, which is where we get to take over, which is where we get to bring in our own personal prayers and stand before our personal relationship with God to bring what it is that we need to bring to prayer. So I invite you to rise and begin with that intention to dig deep and then stand before God.
Adonai Sefatai Tivta Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha Adonai Sefatai Tivta Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. O eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. O eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel
Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, L'Man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah, Rav LeHoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Tzomech Noflim Verofech Holdim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umido melech, melech memit umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. And now we find that moment of silence, of prayer and reflection.
Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. I am but a voice, just a cry in the air, but I sing nonetheless in this pain we share. Oh, sweet friends, come and dry your eyes, and hold each other by this tree of life. I'm angry and tired of this great divide, but we sing nonetheless with love on our side. Oh, sweet souls who feel broken now, we'll heal together somewhere, somehow. Time and again we have been let down, but we sing nonetheless, still whole and still proud.
Whenever we gather, we know that there are those of us here with heartache and sorrow, with disappointment and pain and grief. Some of us that are thinking of our broken families, those who aren't able to celebrate the upcoming holidays. Whatever it is that you are holding, you come because you want to be seen, you want to be acknowledged, and that's what we are here to do. We're here to be present with you, with each other. We're here to care and comfort and pray. So if you are here tonight and you are thinking of someone who can use that renewal of spirit, that prayer of healing, I invite you to rise and be recognized, and Rabbi Daryl and I will come around and hear those names you're holding.
We also hold these members of our community in our prayers. Bill Slapin, Stephanie Levitt, Marilyn Greenwald, Marcia Margolin, Francie Karp, Leah Bat Gedalia Bat Vega, Tamara Grelick, Evan Bin, Lynette Linger, Larry Margolis, Carolyn Orens, Susanna Larios, Robert Cohen, Ronald Winchell, Mia Goldstein, Ken Brenner, Gary Verbin, Lynn Phillips, Larry Gurman, Celia Harms, Rebecca Fraser, Marcel Fraser, Sherry Berenstein, Bob Guisti, Maxine Rogo, Gail Prince, Diane Petit, Pari Meskin, Steve Tolkien, Morton Prager, Doug McCracken, Maria Guthrie, Kurt Meyer, Linda Silverio, David Habib, Anna Tran, Linnell Bin, Jane Barker Haugen, Siegel Olga Bat Baruch, Elkin and Larissa Elkin, Carol Starr, Marion Fraser, Jeremy Kermit, Lev Heschel Ben Bat Ami, Suzanne Price, Gary Nelson, Gal Ori Steinitz, Ramni Ben Harav Mordechai Halevi, Grady Scher, Carney Friedman family, and Miriam Suslow. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. We say Refuah Shlema. Shabbat Shalom again, and thanks for being here, especially because for those of you that read our email this week, you know that this isn't going to be a light sermon tonight, but it's important. It's an important one to give because I really believe that this bima is meant to be a place of truth, even when that truth is painful and hard to bring into the light. I'm standing here tonight conflicted and in pain
because of truths that I have recently learned about a place that I love. So again, you may have seen that email that we shared earlier this week with you about the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, called HUC-JIR, the movement's graduate school and seminary. This was a school that I had dreamed of attending since I was 18 years old, when I first thought about being a rabbi. And the College Institute shared a disturbing yet vitally important independent report that identified sexual abuse, misconduct, harassment, as well as a culture that silenced abuse over the past 50 years. It's the result of hundreds of interviews with rabbinical, cantorial, and graduate students and staff who shared their experiences at the hands of HUC-JIR faculty, administration, leadership, and culture. And this report has already received considerable attention in the Jewish press. So one reason that we wanted to share it with you was that so you can hear it here from PTBE and not elsewhere. Even if you can understand that long-standing and old institutions took time to welcome and integrate women, LGBTQ plus students, those who chose Judaism, Jews of color, or any student who didn't fit some cis male ideal of what a rabbi should look like, the abuse is real. There are stories of professors enticing students into hotel rooms, stories of leadership who touch students inappropriately and then use those same hands to ordain rabbis and cantors. Students who failed classes because they wouldn't appease their professors' advances or attend office hours alone. There were general pressures just to conform. If you wanted to be taken seriously as a rabbi, the messaging of HUC for years seemed to be, well, don't be too feminine, don't be too gay, too fat, too butch, too pretty, too old, too queer, too confusing. The messages weren't subliminal. There were explicit differences in the way different groups of students were treated. There was an honored philosophy professor who I adored who refused to add his signature to the smicha, or ordination certificates of LGBTQ plus students, and who used his powerful theology to let those students know that he did not see a place for them as Jewish leaders. I also just learned from this report that my ordination certificate uses different wording than those of my male counterparts. My smicha refers to me as a teacher, while my male rabbi colleagues were named leaders. But most shocking were that these abuses were known by leadership, and a culture of silence was encouraged. The Torah, too, sometimes has painful truths. Truths that I wish didn't have to be shared out loud, but truths that I know this bima can uphold with honor and dignity. In this week's Parshat Vayishlach, we meet Dinah, Jacob's only daughter, as she goes out to visit the daughters of the land. Perhaps brave or foolish to head out alone, Shechem the Hivite sees Dinah, takes her by force, falls in love with her, in that strange order. As Shechem plans for a way to marry Dinah, we read, Jacob heard that Shechem defiled his daughter Dinah, but since his sons were in the field with his cattle, Jacob kept silent until they came home. Jacob's reaction here is both puzzling and disturbing. He does nothing. Silent, he sits and waits for his sons to return from the pasture. Meanwhile, Jacob's sons out in the fields hear the news, which brings them in distressed and angry. So how are we to interpret Jacob's silence? Until this point, he's certainly not a man known to be meek or cowardly. And what about Dinah? How does she feel? Our text once again is silent. No one in the Torah or even in the Midrashic accounts, asks her what she wants, what she needs, or how she can be comforted. In many ways, Jacob mirrors Dinah. Her silence is also his silence. Perhaps like Dinah, Jacob is shocked into silence by the harm committed against his daughter. Perhaps both Jacob and Dinah both know there's simply nothing to say. There are no words that Jacob can offer his daughter that could make the pain of her violation go away. No words that can justify it, explain it, or resolve it. The anger and revenge that her brothers take is one response, but as we learn from the story, the pain of the Hivites still does not take away the pain of Dinah. We never hear from her or of her again. Instead, the story sits with us, uncomfortably in Torah, leaving us in painful silence too. But silences are breaking all over our culture. When we are denied the opportunity to share our painful experiences with family, friends, and community, we instead internalize shame and stigma. We see from Dinah's silence that she perpetually suffers the fate of the silent victim, isolated, condemned, and deprived of a supportive system. But that does not have to be the experience of victims today. Now that the HUC-JIR report is open and public, there have already been commitments that similar investigations around the Jewish organizational world will follow. This research and recording of past abuse is a first step in changing the sexism, homophobia, racism, and ableism that exists in Jewish institutions throughout this country. I stand in solidarity with those who courageously came forward to relive their trauma, and I also stand with those who chose to not want to. No matter an individual's experience, Judaism teaches that each person is created in the image of God and that that experience needs to be honored. We are taught that at rabbinical school, and yet schools seem to not live up to the values that we learned. And yet, also what we learn is that teshuvah is real, that process of restoring justice, of restoring goodwill. It can be done, and it needs to be done from faculty, leadership, and alumni of the College Institute. Teshuvah isn't to point fingers, shame, or take away any legacy of goodness. Teshuvah is about returning to a place of wholeness. Teshuvah has begun already as individual perpetrators can restore their own names and legacies through the repair of individual relationships. Teshuvah is happening as Jewish professionals and lay leaders receive training about what constitutes a safe community. It happens when there's a collective commitment towards safeguarding our institutions from dehumanizing behavior and perpetrating a culture of abuse in the world to come. Teshuvah happens when the next generation of rabbis do not have the same experiences as the last generation. In our same Torah portion this week, we also see a model of teshuvah. Our Torah portion begins with Jacob and his sworn enemy, his brother Esau, as they prepare to re-encounter each other on their respective journeys. It's a moment fraught with tension and uncertainty. Will Esau greet his brother with open arms, or will he harbor a grudge for Jacob's youthful trickery, stealing Esau's blessing and bargaining for his birthright? In this dramatic encounter in Torah, Esau rushes towards Jacob, and we don't know if Esau is planning to attack him. But Esau knows. He can sense that his brother has changed over the years. The Torah relates that Esau runs towards Jacob and then falls on his brother's neck and kisses him. The Torah is full of teachings, and in this portion, perhaps it imparts the most important lesson of all: to have the courage to change, to have the courage to heal. It teaches that in order to change, we first have to know who or what we are changing from. We have to know ourselves to be able to confront what may be ugly or painful or shameful within us, things that we may have tried to hide away or keep silent for generations, whether by others or ourselves. But we can share these things out loud. When we do, we can apologize for mistakes and wrongdoings. We can forgive people who hurt us. We can heal from trauma and know teshuvah is possible. Jewish history will now remember how the first generation of female rabbis, of LGBTQ plus rabbis, of any rabbis who didn't fit into a norm, struggled and suffered. Their tragedies and trauma are part of their story and now part of our Jewish story. But they paved the way for all of us to be better and do better. So our collective Jewish story will emerge into a sweeter one. Let us pray instead for those who come next and for those who come after them, for a future of safety and holiness, wholeness and peace. Shabbat Shalom. Well, each Shabbat, we also love to welcome members of our community, leaders in our community who do so much work for us, who support us through their time and effort and wisdom and skills. And Mindy Shelton, you serve on our board of trustees. You serve as an advisor to our education programs here. So thanks for being with us tonight, and offer some announcements.
That is tough to follow.
I said it was going to be light.
First of all, a huge mazel tov to Jeremy and Gordon and Tina. It feels like not that long ago, Gordon and I spoke on the phone about the possibility of Jeremy and my son Aaron sharing a bar mitzvah. And now here we are celebrating Jeremy's bar mitzvah almost exactly 2 years later. 2 years after Aaron's. But he looks forward to celebrating with you tomorrow and being here to support you, and I know you're going to do a phenomenal job. So mazel tov in advance. There are some very exciting things happening here at PTBE, starting with our special congregational meeting on December 9th, where we have the privilege of voting in our new senior rabbi, Rabbi Lisa Kingston, who you saw tonight, her amazing gifts and spirit and beauty. And it's especially amazing that we have this opportunity to vote in the first female senior rabbi, not only of PTBE, but of the entire North Peninsula. So pretty special. And I know that Rabbi Lisa and Cantor Alana will be an amazing dynamic duo to lead our congregation into the future. So along with that, it is coming up on Hanukkah time. There are lots of great Hanukkah celebrations happening in our community. Candle lighting on Zoom each night. December 3rd, join us for Shabbat Hallelu Hanukkah style. And on December 4th, a great community concert with Cantor Alana and Saul. Our interfaith friendship group will be celebrating Hanukkah and Diwali on December 5th. And this Sunday, you can stop by our gift shop to fulfill all of your final Hanukkah needs. Also this Sunday is Shush. We'll be making sandwiches for Samaritan House, both here at PTBE or at home, so you can check your email for more information about that. Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov again.
Thank you. So we all come here for different reasons, and so many of you are here tonight because you are thinking of someone who you have lost, Maybe you're recently grieving or you're marking time that has passed, someone who you lost at this season in years past. If you are here because you are grieving or because you are observing a yard site, we invite you to rise to be recognized by our community. Thanks. You are remembering Manuger Gatan, Sunya Shah, Dr. Arthur Bowden, and in recent and on yard sites, you are remembering Edmund Adler, Ohar Bastad, Herman Becker, Morris Berger, Ina Bonnerwith Friedman, Beatrice Gabal Khan, Isaac Shatreat, Edward Cooper, David Dobkin, Sylvia Elkins, Neil Elliott Margolis, Adrian Firestone, Bruce Friedman, Maurice Goldstein, Daniel Gorfain, Ingrid Jonas, Seymour Kay, Elise Klebe, Betty Levin, Norman Levine, Ann Maltzer, Hubert Marcus, Carl Nielsen, Esther Miller, Beth Ottinger, Howard Rappaport, Marion Rockland Shapiro, Queenie Roseberry, Howard Rubin, Gerald Samuel, Nathan Shoykett, Sylvia Siegel, Inez Silverstein, Benjamin Taskar, Jim Worrell, and Robert Weil. If there's anyone whose names I did not say or a name that I mispronounce, please feel free to add it. So sorry, thank you. Thanks for being here. Well, for those names that we shared out loud, for those who are openly grieving, for those who are remembering, we stand together as one, page 294. It gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabba, be'alma divrach hirte v'amlich malchute, b'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayed chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kidusha barichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yakosh v'tevel v'imru amen. We say zikron lam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Well, we hold those moments of sadness with moments of joy as we also mark the sweetness of Shabbat and the celebrations of having new young people grow up and take their place in our community, even if they're not so young. Jeremy, we're just going to joke on you all week. Please, Jeremy, come up to the bima and lead us in Kiddush and Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodshon be'ava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron l'maaseh b'reishi Ki hu yom tehila lemikra kodesh zeher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'harta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodsheha Be'ahava uvratzon Hin Haltanu, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'Hayom.
All right, you have some challah that you have to share with all of your cousins and siblings. Baruch
Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lehem min haaretz. Amen.
Tevon, you can take a little bite here, save it for outside. The tiniest bite. We'll see everyone after services. Please stay and say hi to each other, introduce yourselves to each other over coffee and juice and cookies and hopefully Rice Krispie treats. And we'll end with a prayer for peace.
Oh, say shalom, bimroma. Oh, say shalom, bimroma. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu. Count it, 1, 2, 3, sing it. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Pastor Khan, such a nice, it's like people here. I know. It was good. I haven't lived with you in so long. It's like when it's just a normal service. It's just like
Recording stopped.
I know. Experience. Feels good. Hopefully, lots of times to be back. Shabbat shalom.